Here we go.
Bad boys, what you want, what you want, what you gonna do when Chevy John don't come for you? Tell me what you wanna do, what you gonna do.
Florida man standing in his sunroof while driving his Cadillac down I-40.
What you gonna do, what you gonna do when they come for you?
All right. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Lorena Creole, of course, bringing you that spice when it comes to sci-fi and pop culture analysis. Definitely keeping it real when it comes to theme parks, and especially keeping it real when it comes to the state of Florida, the second craziest state in the union, a state that my family has been in since 1565, and a state where Lord Stanley Cup just cannot seem to leave from the past 5 years. Sorry, not sorry. I had to bring that up. Amazing show for you guys tonight. Going to be talking about one of my favorite things, which is genealogy and Florida history, and how through tracing my family's roots, I found out about a war that I didn't learn about in history books, that has not been talked about, and that, of course, is the Patriot War of 1812, where United States tried and failed to annex Spanish Florida. So we are going to be talking about that. Of course, memes to get you in that Florida state of mind. And yes, we are going to get into why, yet again, don't bet against Florida man playing hockey. I'm just saying. So I see you guys starting to come in here from YouTube and X. Make sure you thumbs the stream, heart the stream, do all the things, because that is your price of admission to the party. And speaking of the party, Dad Man Walking is with me. How are you doing?
I am well tonight. Yes, I always like to say I am the party. It has arrived. But yes, thanks for that intro, Lorraine. I'm great. How are you doing tonight?
I am doing really, really, really well. I'm doing great. I mean, there's a lot.
Mm-hmm. Well, we didn't meet last week, so we really got to make it up, so you get double the party tonight.
Yeah, we do. Last week I was just not feeling the best, unfortunately, but back on all thrusters with you guys. Yep. And just absolutely could not wait. And speaking of can't wait, first of all, gotta thank Scott Westbrook for gifting those 10 Lorena Creole memberships. Thank you so much, my dear. Let me hit you up with part 1. If you know, you know.
Oh, yes.
Oh, man. Yes. If you got gifted a membership from Scott Westbrook, please do tell him thanks. Memberships, I love it when they're shared. I love it when I get to do extra things. Like Friday, I went down to Epcot right after work and took you channel members along with me from getting on the expressway. You can hear me yelling at people who can't drive, to doing some shopping down at Epcot. So that was fun.
Oh my!
For you, you channel members.
We're not even brave enough to do drive streams in Orlando. Gee,
yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
we did test one once though, driving to the St. Augustine Buc-ee's, and everybody got to see Mrs. Really let the driver bless the driver out. They wheeled around us, took our parking spot. Yep. So.
It's interesting. You get to hear the Philly in me come out, and I'm like,
oh yes,
some people out and dodging in between cars and stuff like that. But anyway,
well, you know what you've got to do though? You've got to do a live walking stream in H Mart with that, not only going into the jammed up parking lot, but then walking through that place where it's like sardines. You're literally sardines in there when they're busy. So that would be a fun one.
They are. And I found out because I went to H Mart Monday actually, but went like 9 a.m.
Oh wow, okay.
And it actually was pretty sane. But by the time I left around 10:30, the crazy was starting to hit. So yeah,
wow.
we went because Camera Girl wanted to go, and oh my gosh, the Isle of Ramen. That's all I'm saying. Yes.
I was enraptured with all the live fish and crabs and all that eels back there. That was insane.
I almost got a red snapper, but I need to get a fillet knife. I need to get like
I want to see you take home one of those live king crabs though. That would be fun. That'd be a great video at home.
I'm not taking one of those home. Shoot, I need a fish tank. I need a fish tank for one of those. I swear, the king crabs, they almost remind me of if you watch Dune 1984, it looks like one of the aliens from the Spacing Guild.
Yep.
It's so wild. Mark Daly, thank you so very much for that $10 super chat. Let me hit you up, my dear.
This Morgan video was not approved, authorized, or endorsed by Disney.
That wink at the end is Mark says, R.I.P. Brad Arnold. Pour one out for the great guy 3 doors down. Writer of Citizen Soldiers. I think I've heard of him. I don't think I've heard of him before. Remember him by remembering those who risk it all to keep us safe. I'm looking him up right now. Stage 4 kidney cancer. Oh, that is awful. Family member of the Rockman 3 doors down. Wow, that's so sad. Oh my gosh, by remembering those who risk all to keep us safe. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I kind of make it a point in my mind, and it seems like a little thing, but maybe it isn't a little thing. I don't know, but it's just something that I do. Whenever I see police cruisers go past or first responders go past, or I see like a traffic stop, or even just like a resource officer that's sitting outside of a school, I usually try to say a quick prayer of, protection from them when I see them. They do a lot. Definitely, they do a lot. So thank you. I didn't know about that. So see, you guys help educate me, so I appreciate that. So R.I.P. man. Oh, that's really, really tough. Well, let me say hi to you guys before we get to our memes for our Florida state of mind, which we so much love to do here. Let's see. We have got, I see Mark, greetings from the capital of Florida, aka South Georgia. Good seeing you. We have got Buddy Hepburn who says, howdy, y'all. Well, howdy and hello. Good seeing you. Good seeing you. I love the Horatio Caine hair and sunglasses. If you've ever watched CSI Miami, which I think is the best one outside of the original CSI, Horatio Caine, his character is something else. I absolutely love Horatio Caine. And let's see,
Is that the David Caruso guy?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, the guy who pulled the biggest L in showbiz history by leaving NYPD Blue.
Okay, I've heard the stories. So okay.
Yes, he left NYPD Blue, and CSI Miami basically saved his career. Yeah, I'm so glad he did it. Let's see, we got Kelly Chow. It says, hey, everybody. Good morning from Hong on. Well, so good seeing you, my dear. And of course, roll tide, roll tide. We have got Thanatos Felicitas as well. Says hello, everyone. And of course, we have got Scott Westbrook in the chat as well. Let's see who else we got. We got Chef Nation. Says good evening, beautiful people. Canadians, how y'all feeling? USA, baby.
Oh my gosh, already.
You know
Just
what?
like you needed that motivation.
You know what? Look, I have never heard so much crying in hockey in my life. Okay. And I grew up in Philly. So I grew up watching the Philadelphia Flyers, aka the Broad Street Bullies. Okay. Anytime we played a Canadian team, we knew two things to be true. One, it was going to be a good game because if you could beat the Canadian team, that meant that you were good. And two, the fights were going to be freaking epic. And they never disappoint. First of all, Philly is crazy to begin with, all right? But you throw in a Canadian hockey team and the Flyers, and stuff.
Back in
yeah.
When they let them fight. Yes, exactly.
Yes.
No, I was like,
It's just
well,
like,
hey, it got even started before this. It started with their curling team. The men's, I didn't cheat. Dude, you got the whole world looking at a camera right there, dude.
Yeah,
and the women's team cheated,
you.
and then God, so now nobody still feels sorry for you Canadians sport teams.
And it's a real shame because to be able to, I mean, nobody gets excited about say beating Norway in hockey. And really, I don't care. I mean, Norway, Denmark, we don't really care about that. No, but you beat Canada, that's a big deal. That's like, and I was explaining this to people about the Summer Olympics. Okay. I do not really pay attention to the Summer Olympics until the track and field competition. Why? Because track and field is between three countries: the United States, Canada, and Jamaica. Those three. And we have beef every single year from the pen relays to whatever to the Olympics. We know Jamaica and Canada are the two teams that we have to beat. And we do it for bragging rights. So we used to doing that. But it's just like they're the best of, they're the best of the best. And that's, and that's what it is. So it's going to be a good game. Definitely going to be a good game. So it's just like, Canada, you got the silver. Don't be. I mean, it's cool, get the gold and everything, but the game was popping.
Yep. Well, like I said, they were starting already earlier in the weekend with the curling events. When they got called out for curling and the double touches and stuff like that, it's like, hey, quit the whining. You're busted, dude. It was so bad, even the women's team got a stone removed because it was seen, just, go cry a river somewhere else. In the hockey,
yeah,
like we were talking backstage, Lorena, I'm begging everybody, Canada, please come get your Stanley Cup. I don't want it in Florida. Hockey does not belong in Florida. I'm a Florida man, but you won't come get. It's like the person that moved out that left their garbage behind that won't come pick it up. But
look, the fact that the Stanley Cup has been here so long that they put it on the ships during Gasparilla.
I think I saw a meme today, actually. I saw a meme today, and I guess it might be true. It said it says 2015, Canada has 0 Stanley Cups and 0 gold medals, and the U.S. has 1 gold medal and 10 Stanley Cups. Like
something else, but we're going to talk about that some more. Right. Dylan says, hey, Lorena, sup chat, greeting from the Northeastern Zone. Hope you are doing well, my friend. I need to check on some of my Northeastern friends as well.
It's coming down up there a lot. I know somebody in New Jersey, and it's coming down quick.
I got to check. I do not miss Nor'easters. And that last one before I moved down here, I was done. Bomb cyclone, I was done.
One of the meteorologists I followed said today it would equate to a Category 2 hurricane if it was the summer.
It's insane.
Yeah,
I've been in several. Nor'easters are like nothing to mess with. Hey, Dan, good to see you. Good to see you. And yeah, if it wasn't for Florida, this country would be boring. You got that right. Do you believe in miracles? Yes. Yes, we do. Yes, we
46 years
do.
ago to the day that they won the last
To
one. Yep.
that day. Nuts. We own the Stanley Cup and the gold medal in hockey. We take over Molson Brewery and Tim Hortons when they can't anymore.
Wow. That's serious with Tim
Mm.
Hortons, though.
Yeah.
That's like a gut punch. That would be like taking Buc-ee's from us.
Well, you know what? If Alberta has their way,
Yep.
Alberta wants independence.
Yep.
Oh, did I see the video of a tourist visiting Buc-ee's and complaining the whole time? No. Maybe I should watch that. Maybe I shouldn't.
Well, as long as it's not the one calling it Busey's. So.
Oh, that's.
Yeah, somebody, Marty with a C shared it with me one time. Lady called it Busey's throughout the video. I didn't know Gary Busey had a
I know.
a
I keep
business.
thinking Gary Busey's going to walk
Yeah,
out.
like, yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. These are, let's see, where did I get these from? I got them from Gunner Optics. So these are the Tony Stark glasses. The blue light blocking glasses. You think you don't need them, and then do a couple streams and you don't wear these, or gaming and don't wear something like this. So thank you. That is where I got them from. Best $100 in eyewear I have ever spent. And they have lots.
Are they a prescription lens though?
No, but you can get them in prescription. So I have
okay.
two. I have these, and I have a pair of the Fallout ones, which I can't find.
Okay.
But yes, you can get them in prescription as well. So let's see. I think I see. Here's Bonzo Kilborn. How you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. And let's see. Somebody said one more thing. Dang it. It like ran really fast. Oh, hey, there's Tom. Hey, so you're saying hi from phone. Well, hello and good seeing you, my dear. And please do tell Linda happy, blessed birthday to her from me. So hope she had a wonderful birthday. Philly fans to professional sports are what ECW fans are to wrestling. They're that crazy. Yes. 100%. I don't know why that is, but we just are. Yeah, I saw that. That was like, oh my gosh, yes. Somebody
can you help me? I'm not sure who Johnny Gaudreau is.
From what I understand, and this is just from what I've seen on social media, that Johnny Gaudreau was allegedly killed by a drunk driver.
Okay. Is he a current hockey player?
I guess he was.
Yeah,
he was.
Okay.
But they actually brought his son out. I think it was his son's birthday, and they brought like son and his kids out, and they brought out his jersey, and it was really cool.
Okay.
I mean, it was sad and uplifting, kind of like all those emotions at once. They were skating around, they had his jersey on, out and everything. It was really cool. Hey, RJ McReady, good seeing you, my dear. Good seeing you. Okay, so let's start with some names before we get to some more explanation about what's going on with hockey and why ice hockey in Florida and Canada is all mixed up together. Let's see. He and his brother were both killed while home for the sister's wedding. Oh my gosh! My goodness. I knew it was really, really tragic. That's what I'd heard. But wow, this reminds me of Pitfall. Remember that video game?
Exactly. Yeah. I could never get on those stupid Gators' heads just right.
Oh,
one of the most frustrating games ever. But yeah, hey,
stuff pissed me off. It's like, okay, I got to time this right. I got that. No, I'm Gator bait.
I like watch my brother-in-law jump all three. And like, how the heck do you do that? I can't move that fast.
Type 2600 in the chat if you play Pitfall on the OG console. I did.
Yeah.
I did. I'm not gonna lie. I did. Let's drive my mom nuts because I almost rage quit that game. I rage quit Tekken, but I didn't rage quit Pitfall for some reason. It is what it is. Yes, we are getting crazy weather here again, crazy hot, and then Tuesday we're supposed to get another cold blast, which means Floridians are not going to know what to do with themselves. And if you are from back east, you're just like, oh, where's that coat that I paid too much for and I refuse to get rid of? And then you go outside with it on and you're just like, yeah, it's not cold enough to wear this. So we're in the bipolar weather season right now. It's like you don't know. It can be, if you come down here, it can be 90 degrees for several days and then drop down to 30, or it's just what happens. It's not going to start.
Yeah,
oh, no,
it was really warm yesterday. It amazed me how hot how the AC has to come on, and then in the morning the heater will have to come back on. Well,
it's like fall, fall back east. Yeah, they really do.
We don't have fall in Florida.
No, we have hot and wet and dry.
We might have spring. We might have spring every once in a while.
Yeah, we do, because you can tell because all the cars are coated in yellow pollen, which has already started because my allergies have started acting up. So
I was looking at a lake. I was looking at a lake the other day, a retention pond right behind where I'm working, and all the yellow on the edge of it, just nothing but pollen.
I'm not looking forward to it. So not looking forward to it. Well, let's see. No refunds if a seagull steals food. Please note, we do not offer refunds in the event of a seagull-related theft of food. They need to put this, especially at Disney World. I don't understand. Granted, I grew up visiting Florida in the summers, and I know how evil agents of Satan that seagulls are, and why people feed them. I don't understand.
Or and they get so trained that they get aggressive. They start taking, and that's obviously there. And the business owner, it's not you. I mean, look, it's one thing if the product's defective, undercooked, or whatever. But if you're not watching your food, that's on you. That's not on me.
Mm-mm.
Although I think it was Tom that talked about. I think Linda had a burger or something snatched out of the car window by a gull or something one time.
Mm-hmm.
Mine.
Those
like
things.
Buddy said. Yep.
I guess I don't know. I just know that they're evil. They stalk you. They will stalk you. They will.
Just
they
waiting for
know.
you.
Just waiting for you to not pay attention to your food. Now there's certain places, like I know at I think they do at Gatorland. I forget who it is, where they have like this like crisscross wire above you. That's to discourage, seagulls from flying down and everything. But if you're at a theme park where they don't have that, they know. The seagulls know you're bringing food, just like the hawks and ospreys know over at the Contemporary, where all they have to do is sit and wait. And eventually all those little birds that went in to eat food that people leave around Chef Mickey's, just wait for them to fly out, and they just take them off. I am not.
They had that. Well, you mentioned Disney and the Hawk because you remember when they had that stage show with the princesses and peace, lovey. We released the doves, and the Hawks they had to do something about the Hawks because the Hawks adjusted and they were snapping off the doves one by one. Like, nature's smart, folks. They
are so smart. Yeah. They even know when all of the sea life at SeaWorld are being fed, because they hang out there and they wait, and they tell you, when you, first of all, the seals don't like them, because the seals know the people come with the, with the anchovies and sardines and stuff to feed them. And there's signs that say when you feed the seals, you have to throw it really fast. And they expect that they will start, barking at you when they know you have food. You have to throw it fast, because seagulls and herons, well, herons are the worst, because they're like freaking ninjas. they are fast, but yeah, they are just like, they're the worst, but they're trained to do that. Let's see. So
Karen, sorry. Oh, he sent a video of the seagulls.
Oh my gosh. This is even more hilarious, because this is a
see, I can see a Karen coming up to complaining about wanting their money back for the food. It's a shame they had to put a sign like that, because
put a sign, because y'all don't freaking get. No, we ain't giving you your food. You let it get to you. Who's this? Oh, seagull thief. Okay, let's see.
And that pack of crisps. Watch.
They know. They know.
Just ran it.
They know. Do not let the seagull. No, they again. When you get your food, be on the lookout. Todd's right here. So a Chick-fil-A out of Linda's hand with the window in the car slightly cracked. Yes. Do not underestimate how seagulls will jack your food. Do not. Oh man. My body is not a temple. It is a Key West dive bar. I'm so going to Key West this year. My objective in Key West not only is to just like enjoy the beach, enjoy stopping, on the chain islands, go to Isla Mirada, try to snorkel, do all that stuff. But I want to walk into a coffee shop early in the morning with somebody's horse hitched up outside and chickens inside. Because the chickens are everywhere of Key West. Nobody thinks other, because that's, if you want a idea in a nutshell what Key West is like, go watch that remake of Roadhouse.
Well, I know that Ernest Hemingway house had cats.
Yes.
Well, since you were in the history and stuff like that, you ought to go visit the Dry Tortugas in Fort Jefferson.
That's another one. Yeah, I want to go down there. I want to visit that. I know it's going to take me, I'm not driving all the way to Key West. I want to stop in Isla Mirada and Marathon, and then eventually go to Key West. So
yeah, well, that'd be cool. I mean, if you can get out there, that's the one you have to take a charter boat out to. So.
I really do want to see that.
Because I think that's where it had Dr. Mudd for years after the Lincoln assassination.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You should check out Kauai. Chickens are everywhere. Yeah, that's the thing. Florida and chickens. They just, although I hated roosters because they would always wake me up. Oh. And I asked my grandma, I said, can't we cook it?
The birds making too much noise too early in the morning.
Chickens, cats, drunks, and bars at war. You won't remember nothing after a few. Also, you have Australians doing bike DUIs down there too. So it's a different world.
Yeah.
Girl Scouts be trying to get you. Want to buy some cookie? Like
Sam's Club too. Yeah, I know.
freaking everywhere. I can't be mad at them too much because when I used to hustle, I used to sling cookies too. I was like the cookie dealer, so much so that I sent my dad, because my dad worked in he was a machinist, so he worked like on a shop floor. I would send boxes, like the sealed up boxes of cookies with him, so he would get the money and get back. I sold so many cookies because you didn't have to wait. Because I had to ask, I'm just like, my dad works on the shop floor, and they don't really want to wait for cookies. So can we like get a couple cases for him to take? And that's what he did. I'm like, how much money you make for me? I'm going to camp. How much money you make? How much money? Yes, the Thin Mints, the Samoas, although they changed the name because somebody got a bug up their ass.
What? They changed the name of that?
Mm-hmm.
I was just about to say the Samoas.
Coconut Delights or some nonsense like that. But yeah, between those, the shortbread cookies, I didn't like the peanut butter ones, but it was like the Thin Mints and the Samoas. Yeah. Them things used to, and the peanut butter ones too, even though I didn't like them, but they sold like crazy.
Well, I will be like when they renamed a Boba Fett Slave One.
Yeah,
they will always be Samoas to me. Like Slave One will always be Slave One. I don't care what the mouse says.
Samoas. The only people that need to call them something different is the knockoffs they sell at Aldi's.
But I tell you, those knockoffs at Aldi are really darn good.
They are.
I mean, I could save a lot of money just going to Aldi's and jacking up the storage and the inventory for it. It's
pecan sandies. They have the best pecan sandy knockoff. Like
they should go to Aldi's and sell these cookies instead of Publix. Aldi's has the knockoff brand.
Mark Daly, yes, we have those ugly ass Muscovy ducks all over where I live.
What do you call them ugly? I know they're not pretty, but
they are ugly. They are ugly. The Florida brown ducks, which are native here, do not like them.
No. I will say they frequent areas out where I'm at, close to the Canada geese. I will still say I will tolerate the Muscovy ducks more than the Canada geese.
You know what? I hate the seagulls. I can't stand them. The Canadian geese, we don't get too many down here because the Canadian geese who show up here wind up being the enforcers for the sandhill cranes.
Yeah, they're like the legalized mafia help.
Yes, so, sandhill cranes are nothing to mess with. Their asses are protected. And the funny thing is, literally, there is a gang of sandhill cranes around Camera Girls College.
Yep. Oh yeah, that happens at the university up here, and it's like all these endangered animals know that they're protected.
Mm-hmm.
They know it. They're like, hey,
they
deal
know
with it.
You can't.
I found the video of my wife getting out of the car trying to walk the Canada geese off the car, but they went down the street, so she's walking them down the street, and I got to share that video with you sometime. It's hilarious. Like they didn't get the message you're supposed to get off the street. But.
Well, this is definitely the picture of the year. If you know, you know. And I'll get to the story in a minute. But yeah, this guy, Orlando Bourne.
I think that's Jack Hughes.
Yes, it is.
He played with the New Jersey Devils. I wish he'd do that for the Devils and take them to the playoffs, but no.
I know. We're going to get to him in a minute, but I had to throw this up here because, look, folks, if you knew how many players on Team USA play for Florida hockey team, and there's some that play for Canada that are on Florida hockey teams, this is accurate. Which is why you see some of the Gators have one Canadian jersey because we got both of them down here. We sure do. So, to show you guys really, really quickly before I move on to the history stuff, Orlando native Jack Hughes leads U.S. hockey to Olympic gold. And WESH, please do not claim me on this. Here we go.
Olympics. Team USA beating out Canada in the gold medal hockey watch. This is the first time that the U.S. has won gold in this event since 1980. The game went into overtime. That's when Jack Hughes sent the puck through the goalie's legs, sealing the gold win for us. West View Sports, Kristen Lago joining us right now. Kristen, Jack Hughes and his brother Quinn were born right here in Central Florida.
Yeah, that's right. Orlando playing even just a small part in one of the biggest moments in U.S. hockey history. And while the brothers didn't necessarily grow up skating in Orlando, their story did begin here in Central Florida, while their father Jim was an assistant coach for the Orlando Solar Bears. Jack was born in 2001. That is the same year his dad and the Solar Bears won the Turner Cup championship. This is some footage of that moment here. So while Quinn and Jack may have been a little too young to remember, their first exposure to the sport was on the ice at Solar Bears practice at what was then called the RDV Sportsplex in Maitland. Jack, of course, went on to become the first pick in the 2019 NHL draft, plays center for the New Jersey Devils, and is now a gold medal legend with Team USA. But his Orlando roots so meaningful to the entire Florida hockey community.
You know, I think it kind of shows too on how big hockey's getting in Florida.
First of all, I thought the Solar Bears was a joke.
You did? No. Yeah,
I did not think that was real.
Yeah, they've been around a good while. Yeah.
I'm like, the Solar Bears, is that a joke? But yeah, I was shocked. I was shocked.
Yeah, we got Jacksonville Icemen. I think Tampa Bay has a team. No, Tampa has the NHL, but they had a minor league team at one point. But Jacksonville, I mean, yeah, it's
something else. I tell you,
I know, but hockey's weird in Florida.
It is.
It's just,
it is. It's just like it's hot down here, but we got some killer facilities, man.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Even with my son's youth team and everything that they do around here, it's just awesome to see, and it's really exciting for the USA program and for the country to win that gold medal, and especially in the fashion that they did with Hughes scoring that in overtime was pretty special. I think everybody in the country is excited right now, but also it's a special moment, a special situation for the state and obviously for the city of Orlando.
So while Orlando didn't exactly raise Jack Hughes, Central Florida can proudly say they were there at the very beginning of a history-making gold medal journey.
He was born here. It's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly.
He was born here. That's all that matters. And to bring it back again to the Florida Panthers, our boy, Mathews to Chuck. I love this so darn much. Folks, if you remember the what was it? Was it the All-Star?
I think it was mentioned earlier in the chat. The other one, the Four Nations tournament.
Yeah. The Four Nations tournament. I had no idea what the heck that was until we started hearing rumblings about it. And we're like, what? Really? What? Then all of a sudden, everybody had to watch that game. And the beef with that was you had, the Panthers players, some of them played for Team USA, some of them played for Canada, and man, they didn't even hit the puck when the puck dropped. They started fighting already.
There were like 3 fights in the first 10 seconds. Yeah, there was.
Mm-hmm. I was like, dang, this is going to be a good game. Yeah, you don't want to, don't mess with Florida, man. Don't mess with Florida, man. Well, folks, we have got you guys all here. Let's switch on over to some history. And you know what? We will actually start with this one. Now, I may be rambling for a little bit because this is something that I found out about completely by accident. And the reason that I came about it by accident is because I was researching my family's history. So this is from Florida State College of Jacksonville. Everyone's heard about the War of 1812, where, the British burned the White House and 54-40 or fight when it came to Canada, all that stuff. but I never heard of something called the Patriot War. So, coming from the Jacksonville Historical Society, the Patriot War managed to eventually accomplish the one thing that the country's War of 1812 failed to do. It brought new territory into the United States, and it ultimately led to the founding of Jacksonville. The Florida Territory was sold to the United States in 1821, sold by Spain, but that was for a land that was not occupied in the state of Florida. So for a lot of people who got land grants from the King of Spain, you had to prove to the United States government that you owned that land. So yeah, Spain screwed y'all on that. And by 1822, Jacksonville was the name of the new town at the bend of the St. Johns River. I heard that was originally called Calford, I think.
Yep, Calford. Yep, that's what a joke of Jacksonville is, Calford.
Mm-hmm.
They forded cows across the river. Yep. Hey, Atwood. Hey.
Hello. Good seeing you. Good seeing you. So, yep, that's what it was. So, granted, I have my issues with Wikipedia, but this is a subject that I have studied for over 10 years. And this one is actually cited very well.
And the one thing is you got to be careful how you define Patriot War, because apparently there was up in the U.S.-Canada border, there were different Patriot Wars when you go to research it. So you definitely want Patriot War here, Florida, 1812.
Yes. Yes. So the Patriot War was an attempt in 1812 to foment a rebellion in Spanish East Florida with the intent of annexing the province to the United States. Now, to back up a little bit, if you've ever, because Dadman, have you watched the John Adams miniseries on HBO?
No, I have not.
Okay. There is a scene near, I want to say in the last episode, because it's toward the waning era of John Adams's presidency.
Mm-hmm.
And, oh my gosh, Alexander Hamilton, he's got a complex because people try to tell him he didn't know who his dad was. He was hell-bent on annexing Spanish Florida, and he kept needling John Adams to invade Spanish Florida. And Adams was just like, you want us to invade Spanish Florida when Spain helped us out in the Revolutionary War, which is what a lot of people don't know about. Spain was actually responsible. They kind of had to do it on the down low a little bit. But Spain is responsible for sending cattle, blankets, munitions up the Mississippi River to the Patriots who were there in Valley Forge. They would have starved without that aid. Also, people talk about the Battle of Yorktown, and people act as if the French defended us because they liked us. Okay? No. Not really. Yes and no. They wanted to get back at Britain, but they wanted to get paid. So the Patriots had to pick up the gold and silver that was in Cuba, because you had Spaniards who believed in the American cause. The Americans had to get all that gold and silver, sneak that stuff through the Bahamas, which was littered with British ships ready to board them. They didn't pay attention. Ship that stuff, sail that stuff all the way up the eastern seaboard to pay the French for the Battle of Yorktown. Haven't heard about that ever, right? I had to read that in a book called Spain and the American Revolution. But if you're wondering why there's no mention of Spain in the American Revolution history, you can blame John Jay for that. Go Google that. But anyway.
The first Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. John Jay effed it up. Because the King of Spain was very fond of George Washington. Very fond of George Washington. And George Washington pretty much made it plain how much he appreciated the aid of the Spanish, especially since his troops were starving in Valley Forge. Okay, so they respected George Washington, but he said John Jay effed it up. You can read about that. Google and look that up. But yeah, he did. He really did. So the invasion and occupying parts of Florida had elements of filibustering, but was also supported by units of the United States Army, Navy, and Marines and militia from Georgia and Tennessee. The rebellion was instigated by General George Mathews, who had been commissioned by the United States President James Madison. Last name sound familiar, doesn't it? To accept any offer from local authorities to deliver any part of the Floridas to the United States and to prevent the reoccupation of the Floridas by Great Britain. Yeah. So, the rebellion was supported by the Patriot Army, which consisted primarily of citizens of Georgia. And some of my ancestors from Georgia around that time, but I'll get to that in a minute. The Patriot Army, with the aid of U.S. Navy gunboats, was able to occupy Fernandina and parts of Northeast Florida, but never gathered enough strength to attack St. Augustine. United States Army troops and Marines were later stationed in Florida in support of the Patriots. The occupation of parts of Florida lasted over a year, but after U.S. military units were withdrawn and Seminoles entered the conflict, the Patriots dissolved. Have you ever heard of the Patriot War 1812?
I had not.
Yeah,
I like the way that book said the other War of 1812. No, because it's not taught down here. A lot of your Florida history like this is not taught in schools.
No.
And has not been since I was a kid, and is getting even less history being taught in the schools down here now.
Yes, very, very much so. I'll drop this book down here actually, so you guys.
I'm
can
familiar
check it
with
out.
that archive in Cocoa, though. My oldest that's up at Georgia had to go down there too before.
Mhm.
There's really a lot of stuff in those archives, folks. There's so much treasure to be had in those things, and just
It is, yeah,
the things you will learn.
It's a ton, and the only reason that I found this book was when I found out that I had ancestry back to the Sanchez family. So my fifth great grandfather, Francis Roman Manuel Sanchez. Okay. He's quoted several times in this book. Why? Because he basically committed treason against Spain. So I'm going to actually show you guys what exactly what that's about. Hey Sam, good seeing you, my dear.
Hey, speaking of history, yes. Our favorite historian.
She's my other favorite history nerd.
Yeah, go check her channel out, folks. Go check her channel out. Support this lady. She's doing great work for your veterans out there.
Yes,
so,
100%.
And she's helped you out. She's doing some stuff with my wife's family that's coming up. It's connections into World War II. Just I can't say more right now, but it's just amazing. So
yeah, she's been helping with a couple of things too. Something that she was looking at about my grandfather's World War II unit, but also confirmation that a certain town in Naples, people kept saying that it didn't exist, but actually did, but under a different name. And the quote about that actually goes back to everyone whose ancestors of a let's see, he was born to Chicken from Naples, but he was actually a Spanish soldier, Donato Bello. Actually, so anyone who's a descendant of Donato Bello will always say that he was born in Coran, Kingdom of Naples, because that's what's on his marriage certificate. That's where we get that. That's where we get that from. We are doing awesome. We are doing awesome.
We are. Lots of fun. But see, this one thing I was wondering. I think you made the point with the John Adams. It's like, why would we attack an ally that helped us for independence? What have you found more on it? Was it more that there was selfish interest in the Patriot cause, or was it the expansion of slavery into Florida? What did you learn about what caused the motivation to take over Florida and turn on an ally, really?
That is an excellent question. One of the reasons was that we wanted the British out of Florida. So you had two fronts going on. You had, of course, Andrew Jackson, Battle of New Orleans, all that in West Florida. So they were working on that to the point where when the United States wanted to take Napoleon up on his offer for the Louisiana Purchase, they had to figure out who owned what, including what parts did Spain own. And that area, West Florida, which included Mobile, Alabama. Yes, Alabama.
I like the way you said that. I go Alabama sometimes, but
Mobile, Alabama. Yes, that whole area there. It went from France to Spain, and actually, one of my ancestors, he left, Stephen Bradford, and bought land down there from a Spanish officer. It's actually in the East Florida papers, where he actually went down there and bought that particular land because eventually the United States was gonna buy it. But when America wanted the British out, they wanted them out of the Americas. Also, all of that water, all of that coastline, they wanted that as well. And plus, Spain was at a point where they were so weak, they could not hold on to their colonies. There were rebellions going all over the Spanish Caribbean. You heard that term, the shot heard around the world, when it came to the American Revolution.
Right.
That was part of that. So, Manifest Destiny, all of that.
Because wasn't the Haitian Revolution in the 1780s? It was close to that time period, a little bit later, or?
Yeah, it was in the 1780s.
Yeah,
I want to say 1786.
It had all the turmoil. I mean, France had its own revolution soon after the American Revolution too.
Yes, France had theirs. You actually had. Wow, it was kind of like a mess. France had their revolution, but Haiti was a colony that provided so much money back to the crown, but then France was basically trying to tell Haiti, no, you need to get rid of slavery. Haiti's like, who are you nobles and stuck up, monarchy, dare tell us what to do? And then eventually you had the Haitian Revolution. Napoleon's like, okay, I don't think we're going to be able to hold on to Haiti for much longer. So they got out, and it's like, okay, why not just sell Louisiana?
So much. I took a humanities class at that time. That whole time period is called the Age of Revolution. Had music, arts, and all, but also you had the political revolutions throughout the world from in the late 1700s into the early 1800s.
Yeah, it was a lot. And the French Revolution, I always say every time there's a war, my family got re-scrambled, because with the Haitian Revolution, they had to get out. Some people saw what was going on in Haiti, and they started gradually moving their assets to, like, say, Charleston, up and down the East Coast, but mainly Charleston, Savannah, some of Florida, but definitely New Orleans. But by the time everything really, really popped off, my family had to leave. One, the French definitely had to leave, and two, the Creoles really had to leave, because they were killing Creoles. Because as far as they were, sorry.
I was going to say, was it because of the mixed race situation, the French part of it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because they basically, if you had French blood, you were not to be trusted. I'm not making this up. Cousins of mine who are from Haiti, they came to the United States, I think like in the 1970s or something like that. They said, yeah, that's the big shame about the revolution, because as far as they were concerned, Creoles could not be trusted. If you had French blood, you could not be trusted. And Haiti was literally hell on earth. So if you couldn't escape the island by water, You ran over to the Spanish side of the island, which is why so much of my ancestry is concentrated right there, between Haiti and the Dominican Republic. That's kind of like that's kind of what happened. So it's not the romantic story that people try to say about the Haitian Revolution. And I admit that I have my bias about that because of all of that that went on, because they weren't just killing white French people.
Yeah, it was
They
brutal.
were killing
It
mixed
was
race
just
people too.
Yeah, it was just brutal. Which it gets back to the Patriot War. Florida is like it was kind of like a guerrilla. It almost sounds like it was a guerrilla warfare, also, in a way, trying to destabilize the Spanish control of the government. But then again, it's like another half-hearted attempt. You put some passionate civilians in there, you give them a little military support that you don't really. It's like, why do they even bother trying to? If you look at it, it's just like was a weak effort on the part of the United States to try to take. It was like a special interest war, I guess.
It was a illegal, like unsanctioned kind of thing.
Oh.
From what I've heard some historians say is that James Madison was a lousy judge of character. It's just like he just could not pick the right people for the right job. And it's like, I'm not telling you to not go into Florida, but if you do go into Florida, maybe it's a good idea to go. But these people went and they basically got stuck because they could not let the American people know without a doubt that they had illegally crossed into Spanish Florida. So it definitely was a guerrilla war for that reason. For another reason, and I'll share this. This is actually on johnhorse.com. We're going to talk about John Horse, aka Juan Caballo, probably next week. But this is a quote regarding the Patriot War of 1812. So, attempting to seize St. Augustine, the Patriots established a garrison at Fort Piccolata on the St. Johns River. And I think I want to say that was Palatka. I want to say it is. Don't quote me. I think it was Palatka. Because Palatka used to be a fort, right? At one time.
It had to be on the St. Johns River. I know that they had ships going down there in the Civil War. I'll tell you.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Because that's something's telling me that is Palatka. But to build national support for their spontaneous revolt, Patriot John McIntosh, who was from Georgia, wrote to Monroe emphasizing the perils that his men faced because of Florida's unruly blacks. Yes. Yeah. McIntosh was a real character. So our slaves are incited to rebel, and we have an army of Negroes raked up in this country. Let us ask, if we are abandoned, what will the situation of the southern states with this body of men in the neighborhood? St. Augustine, the whole province, will be the refuge of fugitive slaves. And from thence, emissaries can, and no doubt will, be detached to bring about a revolt of the Black population in the United States. Yeah. That was the other reason, because if you escaped to Spanish Florida, if you were a slave, you escaped to Spanish Florida, you pledged allegiance to the Spanish king, and you also converted to Catholicism. You were a protected Spanish citizen. And as such, males had to provide service in the militia. So you were armed as well. Georgians didn't quite like that idea of freed slaves being armed in Spanish Florida. They saw that as a threat. I think I interrupted you earlier, Dan, but I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you didn't. I'm trying to find it. I think it's on the east bank of the St. John, so it's away from Palatka, but I think it's down in the Clay County, St. John's area, modern.
Oh, okay.
From what I can tell. I mean, I had a pinpoint map, but of course they wouldn't put the pinpoint on the map where I could show it to you. But it looks like it's probably that St. John's, Clay County, Putnam County, northern border area. But it was on the eastern. It's on the eastern bank, away from Palatka, more towards St. Augustine.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I mean, you would have forts down there throughout the, to control the rivers.
Mm-hmm.
The Brownwater Navy, as we called it. So,
thank you for looking that up, because I'm like, wow, what the heck was that? But yeah, so I'm gonna step back a little bit, back into doing ancestry research, because this is a case of me having to trace a maternal line, and through tracing that, I'll show you how I wound up finding out about the Patriot War of 1812. So, of course, there's OG Lorena Creole, which is Frances Stanley Doane. Her father, who was definitely not a Seminole Indian, he was a white Mayflower descendant from Massachusetts, and they were carpetbaggers that came down after the Civil War. Her mother was actually named Rafaela. She had a Spanish name, but the census taker got it wrong and put her down as Rafilla, which census takers weren't exactly 100% accurate at the time. So they got her name wrong, but her maiden name was Stanley. My great-grandma Frances, her maiden name was Stanley. I knew that. So when I started doing research, that's what I keyed off of. I didn't know what her mother's name was. I didn't know that until I managed to get a birth certificate where she had her mother's name listed, but she didn't have her father's name listed for obvious reasons. Even when she filed for Social Security, she used her maternal grandfather's name and not her real dad's name. I'm like, what the hell? but she did.
Hey, sometimes back then you had to do what you had to do. As I understand it, my grandfather added another M into our name so he could establish credit and get away from the other people of the same name in the area that were like ruining the family reputation. So it's they do stuff like that,
yeah, and I
it's
could
the
get
age
it
before computers, also.
Yeah, it was, and then again, it's like she used actually her grandfather's first name, which was Berrien Stanley. I'm like, oh, come the heck on! But anyway,
yeah,
nobody really wanted to question her because you didn't really. People her age from at the time, from what I understand, and even up to like my grandmother's generation, they were not very open about their family history. And a lot of it was very, very hush hush. No one really wanted to talk about it. But I could trace and found out who her grandfather was, a man named Berrien Stanley, who actually was born in South Carolina, but was brought to Florida around circa 1825, I want to say, when Florida was a territory. So I'm looking up the Stanley name, and I look in the 1870 census. If you have any ancestors who were, the 1870 census is important because that's the first census where African descended people in the United States were counted in the census. So I'm looking up Berrien Stanley. He's not listed as white. He's listed as mulatto. So I do all the DNA testing and everything, and I wind up getting hits from the Stanley family. And some of my Stanley cousins were extremely forthcoming, which I totally appreciate, letting me know about the family and basically letting me know that they were Florida crackers. They were from Georgia, and they settled in Alachua, in Alachua County. And Shadrach Stanley, which is, I think it was like this one from 1797. Okay, he actually got his land grant from the King of Spain. So if you go in Florida Memory, and I think I showed this one time, in Florida Memory, all of the Spanish land grants are there. So they're in Spanish, and they're translated by George Clark, aka Jorge Clark, because he spoke Spanish and English. land grant in Spanish, and then a land grant again in English. So that's how I found out all of these people came from Georgia into Spanish Florida.
Question.
Mhm.
I noticed Francesca P. Young. You talked about Alachua County.
Mhm.
Is there any connection with the PK Young school that's down there in Gainesville?
Yes.
Okay. That name just jumped out at me.
That was another one, yeah, that I found out eventually through tracing the Sanchez line. But yes, this is the same one. Henry Young, his father, Philip Young, was a surveyor in his Royal Majesty's Surveyors. So they are actually from Savannah, Skidaway Island. So that's where they were. So when the revolution popped off, they escaped to British East Florida. So yes, they are the same Young from the PK Young library. Yeah.
Okay,
I was stunned.
I'm sitting there like, I've heard about PK Young since I was following Florida Gators. You hear about that school down there because it's so close to the University of Florida. And it's like, wow. And names mean things, especially in Florida. I mean, we got Flagler. I mean, the names are universal. I mean, you see it one place, Napoleon Bonaparte. We have that bridge up here. That's a big name in Florida history. And then generally, if there's a name, there's relations. Because I know we've got a name of a author, and it's like we think that there's a relation. So obviously, they probably most likely you're related somehow, some way going back. So
yeah. You really
see,
are.
Lorraine, this is what's really cool. Because, I'm one of the old members of the channel, because you did a lot of this stuff in your first year or so with your history, with the family relations, and it kind of died. And now you're back into it again. Because this is one of the more interesting things that you've done with your channel in the early days. And it's really neat that you're getting more into this. And it gives more insight to you, your Florida, actually. I'll just say, as one, I appreciate it. I think it's really good because you can tell your passion for it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I had to take a little bit of a break because it's like it's so one of the things that I found out about my family, especially since we've been here for centuries, is there's so much stuff. It is harder for me to keep tabs on where my family is, as opposed to, say, some people who their relatives may have immigrated here, like, say, the late 1800s, early 1900s. Hey, Bosco! Yeah, we saw that hockey game. I didn't watch the whole thing yet. I'm going to sit down with some popcorn and watch the whole entire thing.
I forgot to tag you on a meme earlier today, but I did tag you on it tonight, though. You'll like it when you see it. So
check it out.
But yeah.
But yeah, this whole paternal side of hers, Barry and Stanley, again, he was mulatto, but it's interesting. His father, let's see, which Stanley is it? Oh, Blackstone. Keep forgetting it. Because he had a twin brother that was a slave catcher. Anyway, John Blackstone. And that was literally his name. So on the census, he has someone listed who is, I believe, who is actually free. So if you were a free, let's say, free Black person, you had to be listed. So he was listed on the census. So that's as much as I know about him. But the rest of that whole family goes back to Georgia and especially up to North Carolina. So like Shadrach Stanley, Light Townsend, Eichelberger, yes, that is a German name. They all fought in the Revolutionary War. Especially if you were, because what North Carolina, especially South Carolina and Georgia were doing is they said that if you came over and you worked the land for 10 years, the land was yours. So a lot of people from poor areas in Germany, especially, I think it's like, Germany, Rhineland-Pfalz, I think it is. You had a lot of German immigrants that came over during the colonial times because they got land from United States government to work as their own. And that's how a lot of them got started. So that's this whole group that's like over there. But I traced it due to my great grandmother's maiden name. So that's how I got all this particular information. Now, when it comes to Francis Sanchez, okay, names mean things. And usually you didn't get inventive with the names, which is something that I learned from my Cape Cod family. You have names repeating like oh gosh, Mercy, Comfort. I'm starting to blank, but man, when I had a relative named Bathsheba, I was so happy because I got sick and tired of so many of the same names repeating over and over and over again. But when you hear names like Mercy, Comfort, stuff like that, you have an idea who that's from. That's, Cape Cod. Wasn't really a whole lot of unique names going on then. Like I said, the most unique name one was Bathsheba. And I think she was the only one. the only one that they had. But the names mean things. So my great grandmother's first name was Frances. So I'm looking, and apparently Blackstone bought land in the San Velasco Hammock, also known as the former estate of Don Francisco Manuel Sanchez. Actually, no. Yeah, he did. He bought it. He bought that. So I'm like, okay. Well, that's Francis Palmer. But if you go back here, this dude here, Francis Roman Manuel Sanchez. So Karen, so I'm looking at the land grants and everything and looking at that. And it's like, okay, how convenient is it that he buys it from someone with the last name Stanley, which is the same last name as my great grandmother's maiden name. And you have Sanchez. Why is it dude's got a son named Francis Palmer Sanchez? And her first name is Francis. So I'm like, okay, what's going on? So I'm doing research and I'm looking at records, and I actually went down to the St. Augustine Historical Society, right? So I go down there and I say, okay, I think I happen to be a descendant of Don Francisco Javier Sanchez. And he's like, oh, yeah, they have a branch then like up in, Amelia Island and all of them. I'm just like, no, not that branch. And he's just like, are you sure? I'm like, yes, that's not him. It's not him I'm looking for. I said, we're not there. We're in Alachua County. He had never heard of a Sanchez branch in Alachua County, ever. I said, okay, here's someone that I need you to look up. And here's why I had to get the name right. Because if you don't get all the names right, you get the wrong person. I get the wrong person, which I found out. Mm-hmm. So he had to go back. The historian had to go back in the records. And I said, I need you to pull up this birth certificate. He said, pull this up. So he pulls it up and he finds out that, yes, Francis Roman Manuel Sanchez was actually the son of Don Francisco Javier Sanchez and his white wife, Maria del Carmen Hill, who was also my sixth great grandmother. Then the records of him selling all of his land, all of his holdings. This was a rich cattle rancher type family, okay? He sold all of his holdings in St. Augustine, left and went inland to Alachua County. I'm like, well, why did you do that? Because his father came from, one of the oldest Spanish families to establish St. Augustine. So why would he just up and leave? So I check out some research and doing research, and I'm trying to figure out what is this connection between the Sanchez's in Alachua County and the Sanchez's in St. Augustine. DNA research, I bump into a bunch of cousins who come from this particular line. All of them who happen to be kids of FX Sanchez, but also kids who were, let's say, the children that he had with Francesca Young. And then doing research, I happened to find that particular book here, The Other War of 1812. And it turns out that, I always have to do this, turns out that Francis Roman Manuel Sanchez fought in the Patriot War on the side of the Patriots, along with the Stanleys, the Dells, the Halls, a whole bunch of them were Georgian farmers. And because he did that, he became persona non grata with his own family. He basically became a traitor to the Spanish government because he did that. All of his family were solely with the Spanish government, but he went against that and fought with the Patriots. And he's quoted in that book about how, how the war started. Everyone was hype about it, but he was also only about 20 when this all happened. He was 20, he was full-headed and rich as hell.
Mm-hmm.
And his father, Don Francisco Javier Sanchez, he played both sides against the middle. He was feeding, the English with, delicious steak and all of that stuff. He was a government contractor, but he was also providing aid to Spanish and American soldiers as well with the Patriot cause, because he didn't know how things were going to go. But eventually the Patriots wound up winning. So, his father dies, I think, like in 1808 or something like that. He inherits a crap load of money, which he winds up sharing a lot of that estate with his half-Black brothers and sisters as well. And sisters. So he went on the side of the Patriots. Spain's losing, control of their colonies. So he's like, hey, looks like the Americans are going to invade anyway. So I might as well put my luck in with the Patriots. But what happened eventually is that the Patriots, they lost all backing. They had to fight, the Seminoles. They were, slaughtering cattle so people couldn't eat. It was pretty awful. And he actually tried to run his cattle to the other side of the St. Johns River to keep them safe. But the Patriots found out about it and burned his house down.
Yep.
So it's just like, you stuck with us. You are stuck with us for this particular war. But the kind of go ahead, my dear.
That whole war is like everybody backstabbing everybody else. Because I was reading in the meantime what you're saying about Madison. Madison's Secretary of State pushing it, and then well, we don't want to make Spain mad, so now we're like all modern politicians too. It's like, oh well, shoot. Once the light of day gets on it, we run for cover and we don't want to have another war, because they were afraid of 1812, the Spanish then joining with the British. Had that war, and of course, like he's playing both sides because he's trying to live. You try to be friend to all, and then you're gonna make somebody mad at the end of the day somehow. But it's just all the back and forth, of. It's just interesting to see how that happened to him, is how the original Patriots that started down in here, McIntosh, who became the president and all that, got sold out by the American government. He actually sued and was successful to rebuild after that, because, they say, here, go do this. Oops, wait, no, you're illegal. They removed one of the commanders. Just the Congress got involved, repealed certain acts. It's just like,
yeah.
It's crazy.
It was an absolute mess. What happened?
But you know what? I'm not surprised with knowing that Madison or Monroe. It was Monroe involved, right? Monroe was the secretary. Well, we got the Monroe Doctrine. Protect the Western Hemisphere, all Europeans out of it. Well, you could see that coming from him, considering get Spain, the British, out of our hemisphere.
Yeah, they wanted them out, and it was just it was an absolute mess. And on top of that, because again, this was one of the things that the Patriots did not like was the fact that St. Augustine had an all-black militia that were armed, and one of them. Oh, sorry, go ahead, my dear.
I'm sorry, because I that's what I've learned to understand is that they were using to Washington, to the American government, that you were going to have a big slave population down here. Slaves could flee south into Florida, and it could be used to militarize them and actually even attack the United States from the south. As one of the reasons for expanding into Florida.
Yep, absolutely. You had all of these slave rebellions, especially the Stono Rebellion, because again, the Stono Rebellion is responsible for my other sixth great grandmother.
Oh, yeah.
Her French Huguenot father, because she was mulatto, her French Huguenot father had her sent to St. Augustine, to Fort Mose specifically to keep her safe because of the rebellion that popped off there. But you had people who, they escaped from South Carolina or Georgia, and they got to Spanish Florida, and just like, look, I have something to defend. They had land. A lot of them, became prosperous, and they were protected as citizens under Spanish law. And you even have someone like Prince Whitten, who was born in South Carolina. He escaped Georgia with his whole family to St. Augustine, and he actually fought in the Patriot War.
Well, one other thing to look at. This is 1812. Remember, we talked about the Haitian Revolution, which is completely bloody and everything, slave revolt. That was a fear in the South at that time, and that was such a brutal event. We talked about 1780s. It's about 30 years later, and that was a concern to the American government at that time, especially if you were a Southern slaveholding state. You've got a potential military threat on your border to the South. And depending on how much they reinforce and combine with a foreign power, you have a threat at your borders. So,
yeah, you do. It's
I love that historical document, though, Lorena. Those things are so, folks. Those things are just. It won't take for that thing to fall apart much for fall apart. Those documents.
No, this is one that's been scanned, and if you go, I think it's actually also in the archived Indias, and this is Prince Whitten's petition to the King of Spain for citizenship, considering how he's helped to defend the Spanish colony. And I can't remember if it was granted or not, but it's cool reading through this document. Like they have it scanned because the originals are like falling apart. But the fact that he could actually do this as as someone who pledged their allegiance, to Spain, but unfortunately, because of what happened with the United States buying Spanish Florida, especially with them knowing how the Americans would treat former slaves, a lot of them left and they went to Cuba in 1821. Now, why mine stayed? Probably because of the ties to St. Augustine. They'd been there for centuries. So it eventually got to the point where if you were free, there were the black codes that were instituted where you actually had to pay in order to be free. You couldn't be out at night unless you had someone white accompanying you. You had to pay, and if you couldn't pay, then you had to hire yourself back out to get basically and re-enslave yourself. But Whitten didn't have that centuries of history. He didn't have a Spanish bloodline like my family did. So it basically behooved him and a lot of them to evacuate to Cuba when the Spanish left. As a matter of fact, funny I should mention that. Matter of fact, I always say Papa was a rolling stone, but it's very, very true. In this case, apparently they had a lot of mistresses, and apparently he had this one mistress who petitioned him to actually legitimize her son before the Americans came in and took over, because she feared that he would be enslaved. They wanted to make sure that, that her son had all of this paperwork that proved that the child was free before the Americans took over. That was a very, very real fear. And I'm forgetting her name, but it was listed in one of the books because I actually saw the certificate. So yeah, that's kind of what happened there with that. It's absolutely insane what happened with this particular Patriot War. But again, to kind of wrap things up with what happened at the end of the Patriot War. Well, not the end. The Spanish king basically said, "We will give you a pardon if you cut this nonsense out." So he got the pardon, but eventually the pardon didn't really mean anything because the United States wound up buying Florida. So what he had to do, and I can't believe that I didn't bring this out. I had it on another page. This is what happens when I have so many darn pages. Okay, here it is. So what he did was he went to the mayor's office when the Americans took over and certified that he, Don Francis Manuel Sanchez, who formerly was a Spanish citizen, renounced all and any affiliation and allegiance to Spain and pledge his loyalty to the United States government. And that's what this certificate right here is. So he takes the oath of allegiance, gets filed in the office in St. Augustine, sells all of his property, marries the mulatto daughter of Henry Young, Francisca, talk about not being original, and moves to Alachua County along with the other Georgian farmers who would formerly revolted, the Stanleys, the Dells, the Halls, all of them, and they go to Alachua County into the Indian territory. And reportedly, and if you get the book, The Other War of 1812, you can actually read that. Apparently, this whole thing was such a, how'd you call it? Caused such a rift in the family. When Francis Roman Sanchez went to go see his mother after the war was over, she was deathly ill in St. Mary's, reportedly about to die of a broken heart because her son turned treason against Spain. And I think right there, because of that, and he sold all his property and left, that's probably why the main branch of the Sanchez family has not heard of my branch of the family. So long story short, Francis Roman Sanchez actually becomes a judge in Alachua County. Bought the San Velasco hammock. You can actually go there now. I think it's the San Velasco State Park, I believe. You can actually go there. And because that land, I think, was donated by the Sanchez family. That's where his hacienda was. The hacienda de San Velasco, which the Stanleys bought after he died. So yeah, long story short. This is how my family became persona, my branch of the family, so to speak, became persona non grata. Of course, you had any time that the women would marry a Georgian farmer, of course, they took an Anglo name. So they kind of all melded together.
It's just so fascinating that in the history that's there, because those were big decisions back then, And your mother, it's just huge decisions, and loyalty oaths, it's amazing how people would just honor loyalty oaths. I mean, you had it after the Civil War, take a lead, just, You pledge. I
Mhm.
mean, nowadays it's like you're like, why? Nowadays we don't trust anybody for any type of loyalty oath. But it was interesting. They were used so frequently and widely around there. But then again, he had a vested interest to protect himself with the U.S. coming in to take over. So, and you could understand, like you said, the history connection with St. Augustine. That's hard for anybody to give up. For a family that's been here for what, several hundred years at that point?
Centuries. I think
Yeah.
they first got here, I say 1565, but that's when it was established. But I want to say around 1580, 1590 was when they first started to arrive, because, and I'm forgetting which generation it was, Michaela Alvarez, her parents came over from Spain, and she was baptized in the cathedral at St. Augustine, like I think in 1605 or something like that. So these were people who, and that's the thing some people have to understand about Spanish society, especially in Spanish colonies. There were two things that were important: whether you were Spanish, whether you had a Spanish bloodline, or if you were Catholic. Both of those, definitely. But, Catholic, yeah, okay, we'll tolerate you. But if you have a Spanish bloodline, that's what really, really sells it. And it's interesting because I'll meet certain people of all the Florida, like the British are kind of like, yeah, okay, we pretty much know what went on. Okay, welcome to the family, and okay, it is what it is. Spaniards, they find out you have a Spanish bloodline, it's like a darn party. It's like they do not want you to have an allegiance to any other whatsoever. I met like strangers when I went to Tolomato Cemetery, which is really cool to check out. And their last name was Sanchez. They were there researching relatives. They found out the same last name of ancestor. Then they wanted to know all my information. But that's kind of, but that was the deal. That was how it was. It was like if you Spanish family, you just show up, yeah, okay, whatever. But you descend from one of the original Spanish families. That's different. That's why when I could do it, it was such a privilege to ride in the carriage for the Los Floridanos Society, because we descend from the oldest Spanish families in St. Augustine. And I remember getting some real interesting looks down the parade route. Okay. That had never happened. That had absolutely never happened. But I appreciate getting a chance to do that, because it really made people think about history, and people think that America is just white Anglo-Saxon Protestants that settled. No, Spanish Florida was about as metropolitan as you could get. You had Spaniards, you had Africans, you had Greeks, you had Italians, you had Turks.
But you also had the Seminoles, you had the Seminole Indians, you had other native tribes that were in here too.
Yeah.
Because like that we saw with this war, Patriot War, that's what drove the Patriots out of Florida, was when the Seminoles got involved.
Yes.
So yeah. It's a cornucopia. Welcome to Florida,
Welcome to Florida. We're going to have to talk about the Seminole Wars too, because guess what? All of those Alachua County ancestors I talked about, yeah, they all have military records from the Seminole Wars, both of them. Which is why we're going to talk about John Horse next week, because a lot of people don't know about John Horse, aka Juan Caballo, who was a Black Seminole who took a bunch of people after Florida got sold to the United States and took them to Mexico. But
is that Horus? Is that Horus? Horus, or
no? Horse, like his like the actual horse, John
like
Horse. That was his name, John Horse. Okay. But his Spanish name that he's known in Mexico is Juan Caballo. For I'm probably murdering that, for Spanish for horse.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
if you want to check this out, because it's very, very interesting. There was this group of Afro Mexicans who they can only speak Spanish, but the spiritual songs that they sing are like old Negro spirituals, and they're all sung in English.
Hmm.
And it's fascinating to like hear. It's like there's that piece, like they can sing the songs in English, but they can only speak Spanish. And it's very interesting how they got there, and how they got there is the likes of Juan Caballo. So we're going to talk about him next week. He could speak English, he could speak Timucuy, Seminole, and he could also speak Spanish, which is typical of Creoles. You speak several languages because you have to get along that way. Let's see. Hey Nita, good seeing you, my dear. Good seeing you. Sam Wolf, Life from Military Wife, says, Lorraine, I have a funny question for you. We're going on a big trip this summer, and I've realized I want to take video, but I don't want to constantly be looking at my phone. What do you use when to vlog? I have two phones, and I actually use it's like I got two of them, but I actually use StreamYard Mobile on my vlogger phone, which is good. It works good. Another one, I haven't used it in a while because I didn't want to pay for it because I was paying for StreamYard, is one called Prism. So if you get the free version of Prism, I think that's very good to start out with. It's got a lot of features. I'm just too lazy to figure out how to use them all.
Just in case you said, do you still use the gimbal too? Like actually where you don't have to look at your phone, like when you're actually shooting video, how do you do that?
Yes, I do have a gimbal. I have a DJI Ohm 5, which I love. It's there's some that are like tinier, but I have mine that connects to the iPhone, and I really like it. I use it constantly. Very compact. It's got like a telescopic little thing on it, tripod. It's not a selfie stick, but it goes like straight up and down. So that's the one that I use, and you'll probably get it for less than $100, but very well worth it. You can use it for sporting events, all of that. It's great. I get asked about it all the time when I'm in the parks. People are like, what is that? I'm like, oh yeah, it's a gimbal. Oh, you can use it just to vlog. I'm like, no, you can use it for sports events, all of that. Mm-hmm. It's great for people to have it so you're not constantly holding up the phone, like that. So it's really good, and I really like that one. My family became persona non grata in Sicily when my grandfather fled the mafia and came to America and remarried. Wow. Yeah, it's interesting how some of the branches get written out, of the family, of the family history. It's fascinating. Fascinating. Honor is a big thing and needs to come back in society. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. My bloodline is long, going back to medieval Spain, but I'm a Texas boy. LOL. Yeah, that's about with one of mine. One day I really want to go back and visit Ronda, Spain, which is where the Sanchez family is from. Actually, Sanchez y Ortigosa. Why dude dropped Ortigosa when he got to St. Augustine? I don't know. I don't know. He was a Jose Sanchez Ortigosa. He was actually a Spanish naval officer, which he actually got the privilege to do that. His mother was the daughter of a diplomat. She was Irish. Again, two things that matter in Spanish society: whether you're Spanish bloodline or you're Catholic. So yeah, his mom was an Irish Catholic. So he got to study in the Navy, which was a big, deal, because you either, if you weren't in the nobility, if you weren't in the monarchy or the nobility, one of the best ways for advancement was either the clergy or the army, the military. So he went in the military, and from that point in time, I mean, Spain like owned the sea lands for centuries, which is another reason why I have Chinese ancestry. I'm telling you, it's insane. Manila Galleon, that's all I gotta say. Watch Lorena has a claim to the Spanish throne. Yep. I would see that through. I'm so not kidding. So Spain not kidding. Florida.
Yep.
So not kidding. I have Sanchez family too. You have to tell me which one. That was Francis Palmer, but you've got Napoleon Bonaparte Sanchez. He was the first child of Francis Roman Manuel Sanchez and his wife Francesca. Lord, so not indifferent. They were all like, I think, when was Napoleon Bonaparte? I have to look at them. They were all named after people like freaking look Napoleon Bonaparte at the time. I don't know. I don't get it. Just like Emperor. Oh my gosh, who was the Spanish emperor? Was it Maximilian? Because that's why Donato Bello is
familiar. Yeah,
Maximilian. His name was Donato Maximilian Bello. It's interesting following that how people are named. Let me see. Just for.
Then up here you got Napoleon Bonaparte Broward. You're like, it's like it's.
It is crazy. I'm gonna see if I can find this, because this is hilarious. I have to show y'all this real quick, and then we'll wrap. And then we're going over. Let's see. We'll start this way, actually. Yeah, we'll go to Francis Palmer. Go to where he is in the tree. And dang it, I did not want to go that way. It's been a while since I've been on Ancestry, so I'm just like, view tree. Yeah, thank you. Okay, yeah, view tree. Okay, so let's flip everybody upside down. Okay, so here's all the children. Okay, here's all the children. Remember I told you there was the child dude had with his mistress, and she wanted them to get legitimized. That's him, Jose Dupont. His mother was Clarissa Dupont, a free woman of color. But anyway, let's see. Alexander Bonaparte Sanchez. John, not like John Jay, right? Okay, you got George Washington Sanchez. Okay.
What is they're naming after all these big military leaders? George Washington, Napoleon Bonaparte. That's like, oh, that's too funny.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I noticed that. But you see, it's like for some of the girls, okay, again, names that repeat. Rafaela Sanchez. All these names to start to repeat. But yeah, that was fun. I'm like, George Sanchez, like, yeah. So the names repeat. The names repeat. They're real.
Yeah.
Yep, Taino Indians in South Florida too. And yes, Florida is very, very fascinating. There's stuff that I wasn't aware of until I started doing some looking. So when you have authors like James Cusick, when you have authors like Jane Landers who look at this stuff, my whole library is full of those particular books, because it's not in the mainstream history. That is not it's not really talked about.
And so much of the history stuff is behind paywalls. That's one of the bigger problems for people like you. I know Sam runs into it. People that are trying to archive and do works. The free archives are great and all, but unless you're able to go sit and spend days and hours in them, a lot of the stuff's on online stuff. But the sad thing, a lot of it's become, like I said, it costs money to get to that stuff, to get to a lot of the better information. And so that's why I say also that could help, Lorraine, if you sponsor her as a channel member. Things like that help, because it does. It allows her, our friend Sam, there's a cost that they have to, it can help them with the research. And of course, you guys do great work. Like I said, this has been one thing of your channel I loved in the early days, and I'm glad you're getting back to it, because it is fascinating. There's a lot about Florida I didn't even know. Like somebody told us about the Taino Indians. Never heard of them in Florida. There's so much of Florida that is not yet, that has been lost to history. It's not in the public schools. You can't find it in the mainstream because everybody talks just about the Seminoles or this, that, and the other, but they don't talk about the Patriot War of 1812. They don't talk about, even really much of the Civil War in Florida and many other things.
No. And this is like one of the places that's on my bucket list, of course, is to go to Granada, Spain, not just to see the Alhambra, but here's where the General Archive of the Indies is, Archivo de Indias, which has records, again, from Spanish Florida, because if I can't get them in Cuba, which more than likely I can't, considering the dream down there right now, they have them here. Everything from all the colonies, all the Spanish colonies, is archived. This building needs to totally be protected, and it just so excites me that there's information about my family. They have some things that are online as well. That's how I found out that Donato Bello, although he fought for Spain, actually fought in the American Revolution. And there's plenty of other Spanish officers who were stationed in Spanish Louisiana at the time who fought for the Patriot cause. And if you are a descendant of those Patriots, you are eligible for membership in the Sons of the American Revolution and the Daughters of the American Revolution as well, which is what some people don't know. So it's one of the things that I love finding out is just the idea of America and the idea of being an American. And even people who were not American at the time fought for America. There is no other place that is like here. It didn't depend on whether, your bloodline. Like the French in my family, they're not nobility. Most of them were, peasants who could not get ahead in France. They came to the colonies, crushed it, totally crushed it. But it's that whole idea, of America. And if you want to know why we have such a haughty attitude towards Europe, it's because, y'all didn't want us. Or you were sending your convicts over here, for the most part. You looked down on us, you didn't want us. And one of the things about Europe, because I'm glad you brought this up, Europe could no longer push their social problems off on the New World. And I think I've talked about this before. Go look up a lot of the essays from Ben Franklin about that. Because if you cause problems over in Europe, they just, put you on a ship, whether on your own volition or by gunpoint, and sent you to the colonies. That's how they dealt with things.
Well, look at Georgia. The British with Georgia was a penal colony. Then they lost it. Australia.
Yep. Because they couldn't send them here. They sent them to Australia. But it is very true. Europe used to be able to shove their social problems onto the New World and not have to deal with it. So it's very easy to be idealistic and utopian wise when you don't have to deal with those particular problems. But now you do. So there's that.
Well, I sit here wondering about, I can't keep, the more I learn and all, I'm like, who are we mad at today? Because one minute we're friends with the French, then we're mad at the French, then we're friends with Spanish, we're mad at them, then the British, and all over the place. Because I was reading some of that stuff. Some of the claims against Spain came from due to the shipping and some of the other stuff that the U.S. had against Spain. And so we wanted to. It's high drama back then. If you want, that's why history is interesting and fascinating, people, because there is a lot out there that you can learn from, and many of the issues we deal with today, they were hundreds of years old. Nothing new. Maybe just a different form.
One thing has not changed, man. They all seem to hate the French.
Yes, exactly. And see, here's the thing is what I read with the footnotes. Our claims against Spain rose from the Spanish ports used by French warships and privateers that had been attacking American vessels during the quasi-war of 98 to 1800. So it's like, gosh.
It's always something, isn't it? But
Absolutely.
interesting how historical patterns, sort of repeat themselves. But also, again, when you're doing family research, start with what you know, go back from there, document everything, even if it seems absolutely freaking insignificant. You never know when that can come back around to make a connection that way. So always encourage people to look and to check into your family. They're like, oh, well, I'm worried if I have horse thieves in my family. I have human traffickers.
we claim to have a pirate somewhere in our family. So arg. Yeah, it's
something else. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Let me ramble tonight between YouTube and X. You guys have been absolutely amazing. Dadman, what you got going on? Let the folks know about.
Well, this week it's going to be a kind of a light week with the missus gone. I'm kind of resting this week, but normally on Mondays I have duos with Jess, Fortnite, and then Tuesday nights with JT Kirk. But he's going to be on the road out of Miami of Ohio at Eastern Michigan game. Miami of Ohio is an undefeated team this year, probably the last one in the country. Of course, they're in the Mid-American Conference. So we'll be a week or so getting back to sports. Those are sort of Monday, Tuesday nights. Wednesday nights normally I have the missus on at 8. We do a show now, Detour with the Dad Man's, but she's out of town visiting the wife. So scheduled for Thursday night, I've got my friend Daisy Blossom scheduled to do a movie talk about The Fifth Element, Ruby Rhod, False in Paradise. I love it. You know that we bugged the crap out of one of my friends about that who loves Star Trek because there's a meme out there with Ruby Rhod. Captain, Borgo coming. We gotta die. On the Star Trek bridges, he just rolls his eyes. He threatens me with Darth Maul. Exactly. It's hilarious. Friday night, we got Alaska Jeff coming on. We're going to be talking about the loss of storytelling and specifically Disney and Star Wars. Can it be saved? Can the age of storytelling come back? Fascinating talk we got for Friday night. And, of course, Saturday night, I'll be Saturday nights with Dad Man and friends. Tom's usually there with me with some of our other friends and things like that. So that's the schedule of the events this week. It's going to be a lot of hit and miss with the missus going and life getting in the way. But, hey, the link's out there. Follow me on Twitter, DadmanWalking55. I always post when I go live. Of course, it's also there on Twitch and YouTube, the same link, because it's the notifications don't work. So follow me on Twitter. That's the best way. And please come subscribe. I'd like to get to 800 soon, but hey, we're getting there slowly. But hey, the thing is, I like to hang out with my friends and have fun and do stuff completely random. So come back, kick back. Lorena's been there for a few times and stuff. I loved having you on our New Year's Eve night. You'll have to join us one Saturday night after one of your movies if we're going.
Okay.
Because that night after you stayed with us for a couple hours on New Year's night and morning, and it was like hilarious.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, you did. It was like, oh, great. And you let your hair down. You sat back. You just relaxed. Like, hey, I'm going to chill out here. It was a blast.
Yeah. I'll have to pay attention to what's going on. The bells and whistles.
No, I think I told Tom to send you a covert invite the other night, but yeah, it's all good. But folks, thank you for your support. For me, my wife, Mrs. Dadman Walking 55, will be every morning 10 o'clock this week. Your daily dose of positivity, and watch this visit her family. And thank you all. Thank you to Lorena, our friend, for all of your support, for inviting me on here on your channel tonight. And I, like I said, I know we've got a mutual friend, Sam, out there. Please check her channel out. I will tell you, this last Wednesday, the podcast this last Wednesday was of my mother-in-law. She's a 90-year-old Korean War veteran, and I learned things through that I did not know. And I've been married to my wife 30 years, and it was a very wonderful podcast, and that's the type of work. And I know you don't mind me shouting Sam out, Lorena, because, I mean, she's a great person there.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. She saw
Absolutely.
both of us, and folks, come learn. You even hear the misses a time or two in it. So, but thank you, Lorena, as always, for opening your channel, and it's an honor to always be here.
Well, I love having you here. So thanks so much for hanging out with me. Always love having you. Ask your girl. Okay, what day is it? It's Sunday. Okay, well, Thursday I will see you all for the Spice Lounge, my Happy Warrior pop culture show. Whatever, I don't know what's going to be popping off, but we're going to be talking about it. So that's going to be going on Thursday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Then, of course, Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern with Retro Nerd Girl, I'm going to have a watch party for the movie Labyrinth, starring David Bowie and Jennifer Connelly. I haven't seen it in years, so I'm very much looking forward to watching that. So you guys have been absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, supporting Welcome to Florida show. Let me know in the comments. Have you heard of the war, Patriot War of 1812? Do you have ancestors who got caught up in it like mine did with the Patriot War of 1812? And, hey, do you happen to be a Sanchez descendant? Perhaps we're related. Let me know in the comments. See if we can connect. You guys are awesome. I'll see you next time. I got to go eat dinner. Take care. Bye.
Bye, everybody.